welcome back to Studio Lou. It's Cindy. So today I'm just here with my weekly wrap up. I had a very different kind of week this week. I didn't spin any yarn and I got actually very little done on journals, which is like super unusual for me because that's what usually I work a lot on, at minimum, those kind of things. But this week I took part in something totally different, which I will talk to you about a little bit later. What I wanted to start with today are my stitchy projects, things that I've been sewing and stitching. So I'll jump into the 52 tags handmade and Brooke challenge. So week 11 and week 12. So this week we're doing week 12. The prompts come out on Fridays, and I will link all of the information below about this challenge. So for week 11, we were supposed to work with rings. So I basically got started. What you do is you're wrapping, these are metal rings, and I wrapped them using blanket stitch. Or buttonhole stitch. That's the challenge. So for these, I basically went the route of making Dorset buttons. So if you're not familiar with what a Dorset button is, I definitely recommend you Google it. It's a really cool thing. They were probably invented in the 1600s and used until the late 1800s when commercial buttons started to be manufactured. So these are essentially a take on a more simple Dorset button. They can be extremely complex where you don't see any space at all. The entire thing can be woven in the middle. This one, what I did was I kind of shifted the edging of the stitch around a little bit to make it look almost like a rope or a basket, and it's in gold. And then I threaded up and down with green, and then just did some French knots in pink, so it kind of looks like some tulips. And then this one I just kind of had fun with a little bit of weaving with the yellow, some more French knots and stuff, just kind of had fun with it. Then did some more French knots up here and some shashi mirrors I thought would be a nice addition because they're also circular. They're a ring. We've got a woodcut here of like a little kind of steampunk wooden cog, and then I just added some laces and some crochet flowers and just kind of finished it up. So yeah, really happy with this one. And then this week's, I've actually already finished week 12, and this one is about blanket stitch. So I've backed it in the fabric that you see me using to keep all this stuff on right now. So I wanted to use some of this fabric, and then I just did the blanket stitch with beads all around. So it's a copper bead, and then one of these really cool beads. It's like they're either blue or white or pink or purple, and they're kind of like, they look like little robin's eggs. They're speckly. And then I added this organza flower and then a little piece of sari silk, and then I just did some different little like playing with blanket stitch, little tiny ones with thread, and then larger ones with embroidery floss. And yeah, that is done for me. So that's that one. And I just wanted to take a quick moment to just basically reflect on where we are. We have 12 tags done now, and I'm pretty stoked about this because what a collection this is going to be by the end of this year, right? Like, what a beautiful collection. So much so that I'm like, what am I even going to do with these? I feel like I don't want to separate them and use them in journals because like they're a body of work on their own. So anyways, I'll try to remember what the themes were as I go through, but I just wanted to do a quick kind of review. So now that we're at the first dozen, so this was using white. This was about using hearts. This was making this cool scrappy tag with these little strips, and I thought this was the coolest technique. This was about kiss, or these little X's, so like kisses. This was about using buttons. This was fly stitch, French knots and pistol stitch, hexagons. What was this one? I'm trying to remember what the theme of this one was. It's completely lost on me what the theme of this one was. I don't remember at all, but I like it and I had fun doing it. I totally forget what the theme of that one was. This one was about the Suffolk puff or the yo-yo. And then this one is the rings, and this one is blanket stitch. So yeah, what a cool collection of tags. So that's that. Now next on my stitching, the floss tube portion of this, this is the stitch wheel, so this is where I am. So I've completed the second round and I'm on the third round. I'm getting time maybe to do one of these in the morning, sometimes two. The last one I finished was just this raised satin stitch of this little 3-leaf clover. It's a little tiny bit wonky, but that's entirely my fault. It's because I am pressing through using a full 6-strand of embroidery floss. I want to. I know that it may not work for all of this, but I want to do it because I really want it to stand up and stand out. I just do. And I'm having fun with it. And I don't really care if it's not perfect. That's the whole thing. What I'm most excited about so far with this, though, is the Jacobean couching. So that has me so excited because I'm thinking about the possibilities of it. I like how it looks almost like, you know, the ruching of like how little girls' dresses are often made. I forget the name for that technique where it's like it all kind of like everything gets bunched together and it has elastic running through it, but it's usually collected in the center so that you get these kind of hourglass shapes. I forget the name of that, but it reminds me of that look. Also, you can use it as a top stitch on something that you've put satin stitches under, which is really cool. I think the textures that are possible with this are pretty exciting, and I really liked the example that Kathy Reevy had shown. She had done like a pomegranate, and like, I mean, it was beautiful. So yeah, I'm learning a lot from this. I'm having fun with it. Sometimes I have to watch the video a couple of times to kind of get it, but I find what's working for me is just, I kind of like, I get set up at the beginning of the video, and then I watch where she's poked her thread through and I pull it through, and then I watch where she puts it down, and I just kind of go along with her until I've done the first stitch and I'm like, oh, okay, this is how you do it. Then I watch the rest of the video, and then usually I'll have it playing while I'm doing the stitch. So her videos are quite concise and quick. You don't have to watch the entire thing if, you know, time is of the essence for you and you don't want to look at the examples and stuff. But if you've got the time, I'd say it's quite worthwhile. I enjoyed it a lot. So, so that is that. The only problem I'm having with this project right now, so this pouch, I need a bigger pouch. This does not fit in this pouch. So as a result, it's open all the time and I just kind of plunk it on a shelf. Well, my little tiny sharp, you know, those little stork looking scissors, I have a pair that's missing. And in a house with 2 children, 2 little children, super stressed. So I'm tearing apart the living room today to try to find them. I'm pretty sure it's just that they fell behind the couch when I was sitting there stitching, and then something happened and I had to go and I forgot. So okay, so what next? I will share with you the exciting thing I've been working on this week. Actually, no, I'll share this first because it's on top. So if you recall, if you were watching my videos last week, which there weren't a lot, I know. I've just been kind of busy with other things, but I'll be back this week. I was making ephemera from a children's book, and I need to make another video of me doing that because I've been kind of just doing it and skipping making the videos, but I think it would be fun to do at least a part 2. So let me just share with you. So the book that I'm using is this one. It's called something like All Animals Like to Have Fun, and it was a children's book with a lot of like poems and phrases and cute illustrations. So I made a whole bunch of ephemera from it so far. So I'm kind of collaging the background, fussy cutting the images, adding them on top, and then also if there's a nice verse, I will use it as well. So this one, I added this cute bear and this little bird on top of the collage, and this one is this adorable bee inside a tulip, and it says, "The sun on her wings and all of it free, it must be quite wonderful being a bee." And then this one with this cute bird wearing a hat and a little bee. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun making these. I think that they are turning out how I'd hoped. I have another one in progress. I'll show you here just in case. So this is using those vertical strips of cut off paper from making a journal that I talked about. I made a few of these like a week or 2 ago. Actually, I have a couple. I have another one almost finished. It just needs to be stitched around. Let me continue this though. So this has this fish with a necklace and this little butterfly that's also anthropomorphic. And this is a book page, of course. So this needs to get stitched around, and so does this one. And it's just a family of birds birds, and it says, when little birds are growing up, the most important thing is for them to learn to listen before they learn to sing. So some of these will get used in a journal that I'm planning on my long list of journals that I want to make, about wise old creatures. So just, you think about animals like tortoises and sloths and things in the world that are just kind of quiet and observant, and how smart they must be from everything that they listen to, right? Because they listen a lot more than we do. So this is something I'm going to continue this week. What I'll get to now is what I've done this week. So I'm taking part, and today's the final day, but I'm taking part in a challenge that has been organized by Deborah Stein of Story Camp Disco. Story Camp Disco on Instagram. So this is the Spring Art Challenge. So she does workshops and all sorts of cool, like, online things, and I think she possibly has like an art center. I have to do a little more research, but like I'm really overwhelmed this week, to say the least. I have made work every day now for 6 days. Today's day 7, and at 10 o'clock today I will find out what the prompt is. All of the prompts have been from different artists who all work in very different styles, very different work, and all have been engaging, inspiring, a challenge. Each of these pieces has taken me at least 2 hours, and a lot of fun. And I've really, really grown. And I'll explain to you as we go through this how I've grown. So day 1, and I'm going to link all of the Instagram profiles for each artist, because if I could, I can't remember all of their names because I just quote unquote met each of them this week. But I've been able to engage with them, and they're really cool women, like really cool artists who, they leave you some really nice comments, some great feedback, and like they share your story. It's a very embracing community, and I felt really great about that. And also I'm so excited to have found their profiles and to like be finding all these cool, inspiring people. Like I'm so thankful for this challenge. So thank you, Deborah. You're awesome. So anyway, so this was day 1, and the challenge was to essentially, it's a spring challenge, right? So it was a color wheel, which I know this isn't exactly the color wheel, but I already have a color wheel that I'm working with for in my journal, the what is it called? The year of firsts. So the first this, the first that. I'm kind of already working on a few different color wheels. So I felt like I wanted to take it in a slightly different direction. So anyways, it was a color wheel, and you choose your favorite spring flowers and you represent them on the wheel. So, and watercolor was kind of the medium of choice for this one. Although I should say, with each of these challenges, you could really branch out in whatever direction made you comfortable. So for this one, I chose my favorite spring flowers, and most of them are those that tend to pop up kind of early. So instead of a circle, I made an oval. And then I just started to chop it into different sections. I thought about like, why be the traditional, 12 pieces of pie or whatever. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, still 12, but chunked up in a different way. So I'll just bring this up and kind of move it around so you can see the details a little. So what I did was I got my shape down with my chunks of space. Then I started to look up all of my flowers that I wanted to depict. And I started in this, like, I'm going to do like Edith Holden I even took her book out and had it sitting beside me. Like, I'm going to do a watercolor worth 1,000 words from myself. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. These are daily challenges. Like, I really don't have time. So I thought, you know what? I will put time into drawing these. And I did pencil sketch everything and then fine lined over it to get all of my images. So I started with crabapple. So I drew the crabapple, the blossoms, and the pussy willow, dandelion, crocus. I just realized that I forgot to put the you know what, we can do it right now. Where is my pen? Right here. This is, sorry for the arm, this is what live art is, guys. This is a trillium. We can't forget to have the trillium. So you'll see that some of these, I have them written within the space of the flower where it is. The others I've put around the wheel. So Trillium, can't forget her. Crocus, Bleeding Hearts, Hyacinth, Snowdrop, Tulip, Johnny Jump Up, Lily of the Valley, Daffodil. I think that's all of them. And then what I did was I just watercolored in the background of all of the flowers. And then I just dropped some ink. It's Pebeo. Let me see. It's acrylic ink, actually. So yeah, that's what I did. I dropped acrylic ink in white, and then I just did some blue watercoloring around, and it's actually like a sparkly iridescent watercolor. I can't remember the name of it, but and I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera, but it is like a pastel-y sparkle. So yeah, that is day one. Day two was super fun, totally different direction, and it was a collage challenge, and basically super open. You could do a lot of things, but the brief was spring flowers, and to get a bunch of magazines and to just cut like shapes out of magazines that inspired you and made you feel like they were flower looking. So I actually made a video about doing this. I did this on a video. I didn't do the whole week that way because I get kind of nervy if I don't have my privacy when I'm making things, especially if I haven't done that kind of medium before. So even though, I can choose to post the video later and no one is actually watching me, I feel the presence. So anyways, so yeah, this is what I ended up with. If you want to see more, I did make a video about it. The other part of this was to just cut out some fun, like, anthropomorphic pieces like eyes, nose, pants, teeth, whatever you wanted. So I have this book of vampires that I picked up ages ago in a thrift store after doing a design team project for Release the Crafted on a vampire kit, and I thought, well, if I use that kit again, which I'm probably going to, it would be nice to have some of these cool vintage images. So I did take the images I didn't think I would use, and I cut out the eyes, the mouths, the noses, and used them. So there's a little garden gnome here. I used some real pieces of preserved fern from my own foraging. I made a thistle over here with these eyes. This is a thistle, and this kind of black looming tree with these dramatic kind of eyes. Like, the thing that I think all of the eyes and stuff added from the vampires is drama. Like, one of the comments someone left me on my Instagram was like, love all the drama going on in this piece. And I didn't even intend for it to be dramatic, but it really is. Like, you've got this flower, he's kind of like, coming out like scared or saying boo or something. Like, it's very cute. And then this blue 3-part flower kind of looks scared. And then we have a Venus flytrap back here who's kind of like the monster I see in the picture. And then this kind of tulip looking shape back here. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that. It was a lot of fun to make and super chill and relaxing. I recommend this kind of art. And if you look, on my Instagram from this week, Studio Lou on Instagram, you'll see my challenges every day. You'll see the hashtags there. And one of them is SCD Spring Challenge. So Story Camp Disco Spring Challenge. And if you click that, you're going to see work from so many cool artists. And there's a lot of really funny pieces from this challenge that I really, really loved. Okay, so the next one is day 3. And can I tell you, this one really made me grow. So this was a challenge from an artist who I think has probably a commercial design business. And she challenged us to basically paint botanicals, but to paint like elements of a botanical bouquet that could then be arranged or like rearranged digitally to create like designs for something you could print on a book cover or a mug or whatever you wanted, right? So this really, like, I didn't have a lot of time this day. This was like Wednesday and I was in the middle of work and I did this during my lunch hour. So I thought, okay, let's just get started, do these elements. I did all of this in maybe an hour and a half. So I just painted this pink flower. Then I painted a flower in its various stages of bloom. So a whole flower, one that's kind of just opening or just closing maybe, and then one that is just a bud, and then one that has, the bud has fallen off. Then a large leaf that would represent kind of the back leaves in a bouquet, and like a forefront smaller leaf, and 3 different stems. So this was very, I would say, simple. Okay. I did some shading on this leaf. I did a bit of shading in the flower, but like by no means was this like work to take to a museum. So then I took it to my computer and I digitized it. I scanned it and I cropped out the background. And then I started to play with patterns and rearranging. And I came up with repeatable patterns, mirror patterns, non-repeatable patterns. This one is kind of a mirror. I basically would copy up the image several times, flip it around different ways, see how I liked it, and voila. Then you have, I did it in 2 other background colors. I did blue and yellow. And like, how beautiful is that? I'm so proud of it. I'm so happy. And all I did was I amped up the the contrast, and that's all I did. I could have chosen to change the color. I could have done a lot of different things, but I was just really happy with it as is. So if you are a digital designer for junk journals, this is another method that you should think about, because I think I'm probably going to be, you know, I've been working on some digital kits. I haven't posted many. A lot of mine are just kind of scans of vintage materials and cool collages and stuff that I've made. But there are some in my Etsy shop. But I do think I'm going to start working a little more thematically and releasing a few digital kits that will be kind of seasonal or for a limited time, just, you know. But I like the aspect of using my own painting, my own work, and not just buying other people's designs or using vintage images. I think it's really nice. Like, I really respect Amity Bloom for doing that, because her work's beautiful, and I like how she releases her work for journaling. And then day 4, I think. I don't know if I'm doing these out of order. Hold on. No, I'm not. Okay, so day 4. Day 4 was an amazing prompt from an incredible portrait illustrator. So this woman is amazing. Like I said, I will link all the names and Instagram profiles in the video description. So she's a portrait artist, and her prompt was basically to do a portrait of some kind, or even use a quote or something very representative of a woman who inspires you. It was kind of on the flavor of International Women's Day. And so this portrait that I chose, my subject, is Oksana Shako, the co-founder of Femin. And she is a Ukrainian artist and activist who unfortunately passed away. And I miss her so much even now. Like, just her presence, it's very hard to describe her as a person and as an influence or influencer on the world, in that she was fierce and strong, but small and gentle and artistic and beautiful. And like, I don't know, like there's just an essence about her that, like, I feel like a little light in the world burned out when she was taken away. Like, I still just really miss her presence. And I look at pictures of her all the time. I just really feel like she understood so much more beyond her years, and she took on very terrifying people and systems, and I really respect who she is. So I followed the brief of the illustrator or the portrait artist. She is working a lot in colored pencil. So that's what I did too. I sketched this in pencil, and then I used colored pencil to draw her, and I put the Femin logo behind her, and just kind of did a very freeform kind of background, thinking about like lights in the darkness. And I did this on brown paper, and I backed it with cardstock so it would have a little more like heft. And I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I'm happy to have this piece to think about her and to reflect on women and my own complicated feelings about International Women's Day and women in the world. And so, yeah, that is day 4. Okay, so day 5. day 5 is Sarah Hand, who I talked about last week in my what was it, my wrap up. I think I showed you this book, her book, Paper Mache, and her birds that she's doing. This is from, I did the first week, I think I showed you last week. It was just the like the did I show this to you last week? I think I did. It was just tape though. So last Thursday we did part 2 of her workshop, and I now have this bird that has been paper mache'd. It is hard as a rock, hard, dry, legs are here, and so it is at kind of the second stage. It now will need to be like sanded and painted. Admittedly, I still haven't had time to read. I've looked through but have not read this book yet, and so I haven't jumped ahead. I think she's going to do another live about like the finishing, the sanding, attaching legs, painting, that kind of thing. I think she's going to do that this week, probably again on her Instagram, which is Sarah Hand Art and Wonder. I'll link that below. So I'm going to finish it up this week, whether or not she does the live, but I'm really happy with it. So anyways, she was the artist who did the prompt for day 5. And so she's also like a children's book illustrator, and like she's just an overall fun person. So this is like a pop-up card, but it's more of a scene because it doesn't all contain itself in the card. So essentially you started with like a piece of paper, and you would draw like a 1 inch and then a slightly shorter, like 1/2 inch, 2 of those, because you were creating a foreground and a background. So in the background, in the background, I don't know if you can see behind here, but I have, this paper is blue, and I used some book page. I inked around it and painted to create the sky, and then I painted the grass at the bottom. So then, the background is 2 apple trees that I painted and collaged on. They have these 2, I drew all these little details. I added these 2 little owls, so there's an owl in each tree. And then you would have just this kind of person or whatever you wanted to make a pop-up, but I chose, like the brief, a person who was just kind of lounging. It was perfect for this week, the first week of spring. It just felt good. So I drew her on book page, and then painted her with acrylic, inked around her hair because it's kind of like cotton candy, painted her face. I put a little pocket here. I stitched around all the elements of the shirt, stitched her her seam, and in her pocket I had this little mouse here, and in her hair I put a little robin's eggs nest. There's like little leaves here, little ladybugs down here, and ants that I drew, and she's wearing jeans and some comfy socks and just kind of sitting in the grass relaxing. So that was day 4, and I had a lot of fun with this. It was really a cute and fun project. I enjoyed it very much. And I'm really looking forward to finishing the bird and then getting more deeply into this book. I'm so stoked to do paper mache now. I'm like really wanting to do it more. So yeah, I have about 1 million ideas for paper mache. That was day 5, right? Yeah. Okay. So now day 6. Okay. So day 6 was about making your own inks. So this is something that I'm not a stranger to, and that probably most of you who are in the journaling world, if you're watching this video, you're not a stranger to either, because we do a lot of hand dyed paper with different materials. So this was about basically making your own ink. So yesterday morning I got up and I made some ink. I had some blueberries left over from breakfast, so I made this ink. And we were to name our colorways that we came up with. So this one from blueberries, it came out, it looked, the paint itself, the ink was a light pink, but it dries like a very light bluish gray, which I called Magic Elephant. Then I had some avocado, which of course makes pinky brown tones, which I called Sweet Cheek. Then I did some black tea, and that came out this golden color that I called Caramello. And then I had some roses that I dried years ago, and I just decided, like, because we're moving, I'm packing up so much stuff, and a lot of the dried flowers that decorate my house need to just kind of go, and we'll restart another time with them if I need more dried flowers. So I just pulled the heads off about 3 or 4 wilted roses that brought me this beautiful brown ink that I called Teddy Ruxpin because, you know, 80s kid here. So then I used red cabbage that, of course, brings you this beautiful blue tone that you sometimes get some purple left over. You can also sometimes get some like coppery color that will happen if your heat is a little high if you do bake in the oven. And I call that blurple. So then I wrote what I used beside my swatch, and then I thought about the types of shapes of floral leaves that I would want to paint with them. So then the rest of the brief was, it's a spring challenge. So select a word that, you know, is spring like. So I chose the word sunshine. So then the next part of the brief was to play around with different kinds of lettering styles. Like what would suit, you know, a piece that was done in these colors with a sunshine theme. What kind of lettering would I want to use? So I played around with different lettering. And then you had to come up with a phrase that had the word sunshine in it that would kind of give some feel to your piece. So my phrase was, be seen in the bright sunshine. And that is exactly what I planned to do yesterday because we went out for a beautiful walk. It was amazing weather. I'm so thankful for. Then the next part of the brief was to come up with some different shapes of containers that you would paint some flowers in. So I ended up coming up with kind of a traditional and like a cup and like a basin, but then I came up with this kind of like 2 half moon shaped container that I thought would kind of juxtapose like flowers really interestingly, and I chose that one. So then the piece that I ended up with is this. So this is all painted with those natural inks. And also the other part of the brief was to collect some like foraged tools, found object tools. So I used 2 different sticks, a bamboo rod that was slivered at one end, a little walnut half from a found walnut from the graveyard where my daughter picked it up, and a couple other just like natural objects, little pieces of like a piece of wood with a hole in the middle, a piece of birch bark that was still in its circle ring, so that's what made that, and then that's what I painted this whole thing with. So basically the flowers are all up here. So we've got some different kinds of flower shapes. Oops, let me snooze this reminder. And then basically your container is where you would put your phrase if you wanted to. So be seen in the bright sunshine. And I just over inked that with a thick marker, a black marker. And then I let the whole thing dry after I got it all painted, and this is what I ended up with, and I could not be happier. I think it's like, I'm really happy with the colors that I got, like the browns and the blues, and there's some pink shades. Like, I don't know how well it's showing up, but I love how the ink, you know, I was free with it. I like how these stems are so wispy, and I like how it dripped, and I didn't mind. I wasn't in control of the whole process. So yeah, that was a really fun brief, and again, I felt like I grew from that. So that is all my blathering about my work. I'll share one more thing. So for those of you in Canada, I don't know about the US if it's the same kind of deal, but I have this like absolute love of books that you probably know about me. So I order from time to time from Book Outlet, and it's just bookoutlet.ca, and you can get, like, if you spend $50, shipping is free. So every now and then I make a book order, and I don't really spend a whole lot over $50, but like, I can't tell you how nice it is, because it's also like they're a publishing discounter. So like the books are very inexpensive. You get a huge discount on the books, and you also can earn points. This video is not sponsored at all by Book Outlet, but hey, sponsor me if you're listening. So anyways, I really love them. And the delivery is really quick with Canada Post. So I got a bunch of books. A couple of them were like about whole food and paleo and keto and all those kind of things, but these ones are the more kind of creative ones or just fun ones. So I thought I would share them, because this is kind of what part of my week next week is going to be, is just kind of looking at these books. So I got this, which is The Way Through the Woods on Mushrooms and Mourning by Lon Lit Woon. And it's about a grieving widow discovering the unexpected form of a healing, which is hunting for mushrooms. So I'm pretty excited to jump into this. This will be great summer reading for me, vacation reading maybe. And I really love how there are mushroom illustrations in here. And I think this book's going to be amazing. Haven't read it yet, but I'm so looking forward to it. Also, I've never read anything by Long Lit Woon before. I don't know if they have other books, but I'm really super interested in the topic of this one. And then this one, A Year Between Friends, 3,191 Miles Apart, Crafts, Recipes, Letters, and Stories by Maria Alexandra Vitesse and Stephanie Congdon Barnes. So this just looked like a nice kind of memoir for the times. I thought, we're apart from our families. It's really nice to see this kind of thing, our friends, whatever. It inspired me to think about, like, we could do this, more of us, we could do this. What's stopping us, right? Sending handwritten letters. Like if you could find another person who you could kind of make a commitment to invest both of you in your creative, emotional well-being and kind of keep each other like on task or, like without it being stressful, but just like because you have that commitment to your friendship, like imagine how nice it would be each week to just pop a package in the mail. Just with a letter, maybe a little something here and there, a little gift. Put a recipe in there, something that you've tried or one of your old family recipes. Maybe draw some cute images and print them out on sticker paper and send a sheet of stickers to your friend. This might be a good way to kind of keep us all in good spirits, and then, hey, you could work together and you could publish a book like this. Who knows, right? And then this one, A Beginner's Guide to Rag Quilting. So I've been watching, obviously, for a long time now, Kate from The Last Homely House, her YouTube channel. I'll link it below. And she has been making what she's calling, I think, proggy rugs. And basically it's like you take one of those, those hideous old blankets that like probably your parents had kicking around the house. Like in my house, our dogs would sleep on them eventually once they got too pilly for us to use anymore. They're often made of wool. They're very warm. Well, she picks them up from thrift stores, gives them a good wash, cuts them into sections, dyes them, and then cuts them into like strips, and then uses like a raglan or a muslin or something, like a larger weave, large fabric that I currently forget the name of, but and weaves through it. Basically, she has like a whole technique. You can check out her channel. And yeah, like it got me thinking about this. And then I saw this book about rag quilting, and it's got patterns in it. It's got needles in it. So I'm just really down with like learning as much new things right now as I can. I'm also planning to get into stump work. Ugh. But I really like these looks of these. Like I'm already deeply into quilting, and this makes me really excited. Like I'm all for it, like this raggy kind of look. And I have this visceral memory in my head from like being a kid and touching blankets like this that felt really soft. And I'm thinking about using up children's clothes that are too small this way, and just, I'm really stoked about it. So yeah, some of the patterns in here look really fun, and the technique is fun. I basically really just need a benefactor to like allow me to quit my job so I can just work on creative stuff all the time, because I'm so stoked to do a million things. But I think that is it for me for today. So that is all the stuff I was up to. I'll show you one more thing. Hold on. I did an itty bit of work on the journals, the journals I'm working on, the poison journals. And I had posed a question on one of my last videos asking, how do you feel about vintage books and the covers? Do you like them just leave the cover alone, or do you like them where I would put a bit of my own art or my own inspiration on them? So I got a comment that, it really depends on the quality of the book cover, and that, is up to you if you think it's in good quality or if you think it could be enhanced. So basically, I think most people probably feel that way, like, unless the book is incredible, like it has, gilding and something really amazing, leave it alone. But if not, I think it's free game. So the reason I'd asked that is I was looking at this book. I love this, I love the color, but I felt like it was kind of boring and I wanted more of it. So I want to put a book plate here. So yesterday, oops, sorry, I just gave you a little smuck there. So yesterday I added this. I added the inky cap images on the back with the label, and then on the front, the Coyotillo, and added that. So I really like it a lot more now. I'm so much happier with it. Yay. And then so I've got the signatures in. I actually have to take, I could probably do that in the next few minutes. I have to take the spine off of the, I've got the spine right now on the curving thing. What's it called? This thing, the rolling pin. So there's the spine for the book right there. It's being curved on the rolling pin. So I will do that this morning. So yeah, I'm going to start working on those journals this week. I'm going to make a video probably about it. And that should be all that's going on for me. So I've talked for 40 minutes and I really hope you are enjoying some beautiful spring weather. It's so nice here. I am so excited. I've been out every single day for probably a couple of weeks, but this week has been exceptional. I'm so happy to have spring. And today is going to be planting seeds, going outside, and doing a bit of creative stuff. So thank you so much. Have a beautiful weekend. Have a beautiful day. All my social media information, as well as all the info on the amazing artists and this challenge that I've taken part in, will all be down below in the description box. Thanks so much. Bye for now.